right. Thank you, Corey. Thank you. I appreciate it. Between honestly, you and Dean Ray, you kind of stole my whole speech, so it's pretty much no reason for me to be here. So I actually can just go back to sleep. Um, but no, in seriousness, thank you all for being here. As you see, I am not suited and booted. I pride myself on my authenticity and just being myself. So for that reason, you get the Tupac hoodie and the and the law, the T Scott ESQ hat. So, a little bit about myself again. I'll try not to be redundant with what was already shared, but yes, from Cleveland, raised in East Cleveland. And from there, I went to the Marine Corps, came back, finished my undergrad, my MPA, and my JD at CSU. And this one, it was still Cleveland Marshall College of Law. And since then, I practiced law. I was fortunate. I passed the bar the first time, practiced at big law, if you would, firm life, six figures out the door, which is very humbling considering East Cleveland, if you know, you know, extremely poor, broke, you know. So I started off with a firm on Euclid making six figures, whereas a decade and a half before that, I was in East Cleveland. We were on social service benefits. So you can appreciate the juxtaposition. But and then after practicing in law for a while, as far as big law, really wasn't a good fit for me. We can discuss that offline. But then I hung up my own shield for a few years, spent most of that time doing criminal law, but then some of everything. When you're in that feast of famine mode and you have to be able to generate revenue, right, to be able to not only maintain your practice but to feed your family, it really needs to line up. It really needs to line up. You need to be out there hustling, and I was, but at the end of the day, and I'm gonna be completely honest, as a black man, I got tired of spending most of my time defending black men in in court. In court. So from there, I moved into the public sector and I worked for the city of Cleveland for 13 years. I was fortunate to come in as an assistant director of law and then to be promoted four more times after that over the course of the 13 years, including twice serving as an assistant director in different departments. So, assistant director of building and housing and assistant director of community development. Before I then got promoted, and now I serve as the director of housing and community development for the Cuyahoga County. So the 59 municipalities that make up Cuyahoga County, myself and my team are responsible for trying to generate opportunities all throughout those 59 municipalities for putting community development dollars into work as well as putting those dollars into generating housing, affordable housing opportunities. So I want to talk to you for just a little bit about what's known as your journey to justice, right? So I mentioned firm life right out of law school, was not dealing with criminal activities, was dealing primarily with corporate litigation. So things associated with copyright infringement, breaches of contract, things of that. And that was cool, but it wasn't edifying to my spirit. So I found myself doing more in the justice space in my 5 to 9, right? Being involved in boards, volunteering on clinics, mentorship. My wife is on this call somewhere, Carmen Scott. Both of us are very involved in mentorship. I serve as the chair for the Norman S. Minor Bar Association, which is the black bar. So attorneys of color, brown and black attorneys, we pair the students with us attorneys in the community to try and help guide them along that journey, and as well as just mentoring as people call upon. Matter of fact, I'll put my link tree in the chat, so if you want to follow me on social or reach out, you need to talk about something, by all means, please do. But understanding that whether it's in your 9 to 5 or your 5 to 9, it is now incumbent upon you. You've gotten your undergrad, some of you have your masters, PhDs, and now you're entering this noble profession. Understand, yeah, you want to get paid. No question about that. Get your money, especially with what you're going to pay in student loans. Get your money, but understand that you now have a greater obligation to your community, whether that is a passion for criminal justice, social justice, environmental justice, whether it's serving on boards, trying to ensure that it's sound governance, helping them identify ways to generate revenue to be able to fulfill the important and noble work that they do. That is incumbent upon you. And by stepping into this family, I'm about to go into my cheerleader speech, but I wouldn't spend this time with CSU Law if it wasn't real. So I graduated in 2009, 1,000 years ago, have been practicing, have been involved in the law school one way or another since that time, whether it's speaking on panels, whether it's our work through the Bar Association, not only Norman S. Minor, but also the Cleveland State Law Alumni Bar Association, whether it's donating to various campaigns within the respective law school ecosystem and things that help the school as an entity or help the school fulfill its mission to you, the students, or out in the community. We've been involved in those things and will continue to be involved. And as Dean Ray said, that's what you see from us as alums here. It's not just the alums though, the professors. Shout out to April Cherry, one of my favorite professors who was invaluable in navigating my journey. And she's still a friend to my wife and I to this day. And without her, I wouldn't have survived law school because I was going through some extremely emotional and difficult things with my mom as her caregiver at that point in time. Uh, the professors, the faculty, the administrators, uh, former Justice Melody Stewart, Ohio Supreme Court Justice Melody Stewart, was one of my associate deans when she was there. She calls me for anything, I'm going to stop, drop, and roll. I always promise I'll never tell the story why I love her so much, but I can tell you, and this isn't being figured, if it wasn't for her, I would not have had a second year of law school. She was everything for me. And finally, Dean Gary Williams, who at that point was over our academic excellence program. Him and Daniel Dropko, again, they put in those extra hours with us to make sure that we were prepared for anything that came along. And as I mentioned, I mean, and I'm not saying any of this is a flex, but here you go, a first generation college graduate who's by this engagement finished his master's degree and his law degree and passed the bar the first time, and then was able to go on and practice big law until I chose another direction for myself. That came from this institution. So really, I'm not going to long talk it. I want to save time for some questions if you have any. But the reality is you come here, it's part of a family. It's part of a family. Not only the teachers, the professors, the administrators, the alum, but again, as Dean Ray said, the community. We really look out for each other. One of my mentees, Brandon Summers, I got a call from Kay saying, who did I think would be a good opportunity for an adjunct? I gave him one name. He had an interview last week. He's going through background checks. Brandon Summers became part of what happened. He was one of my mentees, and we've now been friends as well as family for the last 11 years. He was at our wedding at Cancun, and now we were in his wedding. He's one of my fraternity brothers. I don't think I mentioned, if you know anything about the D9, I'm accused, so I'm not on here just saying whatever. I'm going to be audacious and real about what I say. But so again, this is part of a family. That's part of the rest of your life. So come on, if you really want to be impactful, you really want to do work that is going to contribute to justice in our community and outside of this community, then this is the school that you want to go to. I'm not getting paid for this. It's just real talk. And that's it. So I'm going to be quiet. I put in my Linktree information in the chat. If any of you are local, I have a lecture at 2 o'clock at the Brook Park Library today, and it's about my book, Overcoming Imposter Syndrome. You belong at the table, so if you make it out, come on through, and just let me know that you were on this talk. And for that, Dean Mercer, I yield my time and acquiesce to any questions, comments, or concerns.
Absolutely. And the questions are already coming through, but I just want to say thank you so much, Attorney Scott, for your time. Good to know that Mrs. Scott, your wife is also on a call. Look forward to hopefully meeting you soon. So at this time, students, if you have a questions for Attorney Scott, again, he's a shining example of CSU law's excellence. And I hope that you heard and were able to receive that in his remarks. Our first question in the chat, we have time for maybe one or two questions. Attorney Scott, this one is particularly pertaining to your pathway program with respect to your JD and MPA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I do see
Separately,
go ahead. I'm sorry. So my path was a little bit different. What you're supposed to do is declare that you're going to do the JDMPA up front. You spend your first year in the law school, your second year largely in the College of Urban Affairs across the street, and then your classes combine. I'll be honest, my first year, I didn't get into law school. I applied too late, uh, was miserable for 3 days, didn't wash my butt, sat there playing Sega Genesis, eating pizza. I mean, it was a nasty, pathetic sight. I looked like the dude from The Big Lebowski. It was horrible. After that third day, I went and applied to College of Urban Affairs and started my program. And I did that for the first year, reapplied, got in to the law school, did the first year of the law school curriculum, and thereafter I combined. So yes, I did do the JDMPA, but if you know me, I love doing things difficult in my own way. So I did it reverse. But I'm extremely proud. Most of my career, the last 15 years, has been more in the administrative role than in the practice of law. So that degree has been invaluable to me and trying to be a leader.
awesome. Thank you, Attorney Scott, for that response. We do have time for one more question. Um, bring this sentiment about community and support.
Mhm.
So this next question is just talk relationships that you built in your time in law school, Attorney Scott. Is that easy for students to do who may not be as
Mhm.
extroverted and outgoing?
Mhm.
Could you just talk about your experience and maybe what that looks like
Sure.
from a macro level?
Sure. Now here's the irony, and nobody ever believes me. I'm actually not an extrovert. I understood at a relatively young age in my 20s that I believed I was blessed to do more with my life than what I might have seen my counterparts doing. And so, for that regard, I created this more outgoing persona to the point that I've had it for so long. It feels like it is who I am. And I say that to say that the same way I intentionally became more outgoing, I intentionally built relationships. And I want to be clear, I'm not talking about transactional. I'm that guy that looks to see whose birthdays are on Facebook to shout them out. Will just text you and say how you're doing, so forth and so on. So a lot of that started for me. Well, I won't say it started, but it continued throughout law school. Again, my wife is a CSU grad. I met her when she was a 1L at the school. I mentioned the two Brandons, my activity in Norman S. Minor. A lot of those relationships still persist. Some were students that have gone on to be professionals and so forth. But it's not just my fellow attorneys of color. It's a massive network, a massive community that we still engage. We sit on panels together. We refer cases to each other, especially for me, since I'm not practicing actively. I'm always handing stuff off. So just that comes from building relationships back when I was at the school from '05 to '09. I'm not sure what just happened there, but okay. From '05 to '09, but relationships that I've continued to build over the decades since. So, oh God, decades. Anyway, but yeah, it all came from being intentional and want to pour into people and needing that uplift, that affirmation, and that grace from others. It all came from building those relationships and maintaining them. I want to emphasize maintaining them and in an organic manner, not transactional.
Awesome. Thank you again, Attorney Scott, for your time. We did have one more question, and then we're going to move to the next segment. In terms of transactional law, how
Mhm.
connected is CDSU law with biotech? Attorney Scott, I'm not sure if you can speak on that, but nonetheless, Cedric, we're going to follow up with you but I'll defer to Attorney Scott if he has a response.
I'm just going to be honest. I don't. That is not my
Okay.
world. That's so
I
far
see.
outside of me.
Okay.
I'll throw something in the chat, Corey, so we don't take time.
Yes. So at this time, I want to again echo my gratitude. Let's give a virtual work and his commitment, not just to CSU Law, but to the community right here in Cleveland. We appreciate your time, Attorney Scott. I always try to think, where does he find the time to do all that he does? And so we appreciate you for taking out some time this Saturday with us. He did add his link tree, his contact information in the chat. So students, feel free to follow up with him. We are not one of those communities that will not respond. We look forward to connecting with you. So please stay warm, Attorney Scott, and we thank you again for your time.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all. I look forward to seeing y'all enroll.
Awesome.
Peace, bro.